Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsucharuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Thou son of Vasudeva, the bliss of thy mother Devaki, the destroyer of the evil forces of Kamsa and Chanura. To thee, O Krishna, as Guru of the world and as God, we salute. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 32. We've subtitled it The Ephemeral and Joyless World, Anityam Asukham. So we will discuss that. But before we can get into this, there's a verse here, the 32 verse, says, "It is certain, O son of Pita, that even those who are born of demerit and women and Vaishyas are also Shudras, even they reach the highest goal by taking shelter into me, under me." Now this verse has been construed differently by different people, and talking about exclusivity, but the verse itself is talking about inclusivity, that the doors of liberation are open to everyone. You must understand, in those days, society was something like, this person is eligible for Vedic studies. That was the criteria for many things. But they also knew that the society does not appear as so nice and sweet. There are various levels and various, you can say, niches in society. No society has ever been good or bad. We have the mixed elements with everything. We have sociopaths, we have psychopaths, we have narcissists, we have the teeming, everything we have. So what the verse is trying to say is saying, even those who are born of demerit. Now, what happens is, those who were eligible for Vedic studies, etc., and to pursue those higher goals, they had been born into propitious, you can say, places where they could pursue these human goals. And there were some who were not so fortunate. So it's something like this. Even those unfortunate ones, the good-for-nothings, the dregs of society, the worthless, the tramps, the vagrants, the everything, they all make up society, don't worry. Okay. Even they are eligible for realizing their human goals. So that's why he's saying, and then he includes, he's saying, even those who are born of demerit, and women and Vaishyas are also Shudras. But women were, you can say, eligible for Vedic studies in the very ancient days. Later on, they were debarred due to various reasons. We won't go into them. So for them also, the door of liberation is being thrown open. The other Vaishyas and the Shudras, as I said, they were so engaged with work, they had no time to devote to Vedic studies or the pursuing the higher human goals. So they all lumped together, saying, even they who are, said, they who are unfit for the supreme goal because of the absence of studies and owing to their various preoccupations. Now this chapter itself is the chapter on the secret knowledge and the secret mystery, the highest mystery. So he's giving us what really is there in society. Okay? And this society is, in a way, you can say, made up of various divisions of people, various divisions. We have all types, all classes. But the essential fact is everybody has that innate divinity in them. And that divinity can never be destroyed, whatever the external circumstances were. These external circumstances, if you put in the right efforts, they can be changed to a great extent. Now, I'm not talking about, the commentator is not talking about, they will change the circumstances, they will pursue higher human goals. This pursuit of higher human goals is mainly through knowledge and devotion. So whatever the circumstances, anybody can pursue these higher human goals of knowledge and devotion. So you're saying even they can reach the highest goal by taking shelter under me, take refuge under me. So this is what, now you might say, the Lord kind of saying, take refuge in me. No, the Lord is identified with that supreme Atman. Take refuge in the Atman. That's the idea. So you must not try to think of it as a kind of a personality or a person. You take refuge in a person. Take refuge in your own Atman. This is the idea. So the Sanskrit is Mam hi parata vyapashritya yepi syupapayo nayaha striyo vaishyas tata shudras tepi yanti param gatim. So this is, as the previous verse was mentioned, even those who are, the word used is suduracharo, that is, those who pursue evil or who are evil, even they can be rectified by that light of knowledge which is there within them. If they go towards that, they also will attain the highest goal. So this idea that it is exclusive, meant only for a few, that has been dismissed. So you have the orthodox, you can say, party trying to interpret it in various ways. And then we have the heterodox parties that are saying, this is good, yeah, everybody can. And there are those who go into identity politics and saying, see how they are criticizing these guys, all these types of guys. There is no kind of criticism. When there is that innate nature of yours which is eternally free and perfect, everyone is eligible for it. Circumstances and a training might make it difficult for the initial, in the initial years. But if you pursue those human goals, higher human goals of realization of nirvana, then everybody is eligible. So we are not talking about all the types of people who are there, who are centered exclusively in their desires, who are centered exclusively in their bodies, who are centered exclusively in hate and violence and terrible things. What about them? Well, there comes a time in everyone's life when one starts questioning one's actions and behavior, thoughts. What's this? What's the meaning of all this? And then, as I say, the clouds come and cover that questioning, and there you are the same old guy over and over again. But if you can push those questions, push that inquiry. What's the meaning of all this? Will come down to this, that even you, however degraded you may be, or however elevated you may be, even you are eligible for this realization. And he's saying, this is how he's saying, by taking shelter or taking refuge in the Atman. This is the gist of this verse. The 33 verse is, so what needed be said again of these holy Brahmanas, as also of devout king sages, having come to this ephemeral and miserable world, you worship me. This is this anityam. Nitya is eternal. Anitya is non-eternal. Sukha is happiness. Asukha is non-happiness or miserable. So, Imam, this lok, now how do you experience this world? When you've come to this world, you've acquired this world, you've attained this world. How do you experience this world? Through a body. So, whatever you experience through a body is that world for you. And that's why he's saying, now that you have attained these experiences at this level, and the nature of these experiences is ultimately joyless and ephemeral. And we can see it. We don't need to kind of take a hammer and hit it on our heads to show, okay. But then we'd like to have a higher idea of this world, and they make it into these conceptions of various heavens, where we have the same thing, but there it's permanent, and there it's all joy. So these are the various conceptions that we have. So we see that this world is like that, this body is like that. And the commentator is saying, because you are subject, when you have a body, to various factors, it comes like a thunderbolt out of the blue. And you don't know what happens. And then you ask, what is this law of causations and what happens? And I'm supposed to get this, but I got that. Yeah, it's always like that. We always miscalculate things. We think that the world is sensible and the world is rational and the world should behave like this. It doesn't. So the very nature of this world is this Maya. And now that you have attained this body and you're experiencing all these, you can say, various things, good and bad, ultimately they are supposed to lead you to a higher and higher realm of inquiry. So saying, before it can perish, before the body gets old and gets perished, you better start worshipping God. So he's saying, after speaking about the dregs of society or the worthless aspects of society, he's saying, what to speak about these great, you can say, people who are kind of noble, spiritually noble, of course. These were you can say, the extremely devoted. They will not swerve from truth. They will not swerve from righteousness. They will not swerve from spirituality. They will not, under any circumstances. You have you can say, example of Sri Ramakrishna's father, Kshudiram. So he was dragged to the law courts, and if he could just tell a lie, he would have been a rich man, but he didn't. And the result is, he was divested of all his ancestral lands and everything. He was thrown out of that village, and he left. So just for a kind of a small lie, he would have been happy. Most of us would have didn't mind, because there was a guy, a very great landlord there, who was threatening him. He said, no, I'm not going to lie there. And the consequence was suffering, of course, but he took it in stride. Swami Vijnanananda, he was that, you can say, he was born of this noble, class of people. So his mother accused him of saying something which is not true. And he took his sacred thread and he snapped it, saying, if I tell a lie, I am not fit to be a Brahmin. So this was that kind of steadfastness in these kind of people, steadfastness to truth. So these were what needed be said again of these holy Brahmins, as also of the devout king sages. The king sages were the kings, and yet they were sages, because they used to pursue knowledge apart from their kingly duties. So you have all through these traditions in ancient India, you had these sages who were also kings. You had the sages who were the ascetics. You had the sages who had retired from everything and gone away to the forest. You had sages who were living as householders, saying for them it's kind of an easy cakewalk, as they say. So, kim punar brahmana punya bhakta rajarshayastata anityam asukam lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. So this is what he says. Having come through great effort in this world, because to get a human body itself, one has worked for it, in the sense of you have got both these, you can say, the qualities of good as well as bad, equally balanced. They say when the qualities of good and bad are equally balanced, you get a kind of a human birth. There is also those whose quality of bad is more, they will be born into kind of lower classes of beings. So the commentator says animals and birds and etc. Yeah, we can see that the kind of a temporary lull in your, you can say, a journey towards a divine. So getting a human body which is fit for undertaking disciplines to achieve this liberation. Now that you've got something which is extremely difficult to attain, now don't waste your time, pursue it with all sincerity. So the commentator is saying it is full of many sorrows. Life, when you look around and you see people saying, yeah, on the surface it looks kind of everybody happy and dancing and partying and all, but you see down below, then you can see, oh my God, yeah, there is at the heart of, you can say, being or life, it's a tremendous, you can say, struggle. The struggle, it's like you're being suppressed or squashed down, and you're trying to fight against everything. And this is what life kind of manifests. Some succeed, some fail, some don't try. So this whole world is like this. You have now got a human body which is beset with many problems. You're experiencing this world which is beset with innumerable problems. Now that you've got the whole thing, bhajasva, that is, you worship or take refuge in me. Take refuge in me, that is, take refuge in the Atman. That's right. This is more like a note of hope, because when a person is down and out, sees everything as dark, all the, you can see, the evil or contradictory forces come and try to finish him off. Then what happens? Then you can see that yes, there is that light in me. That will not perish. So this is saying, therefore do not delay, no endeavor to get worldly happiness. It's okay, let's make this world a permanent place. Let's try to get some happiness into the world. Shri Ramakrishna gives the example of a camel that is constantly eating that shrubs and thorny bushes. Its mouth is bleeding, but it keeps on eating those things. So most of us are something like this. We will say, oh no, this kind of that is a kind of delusion. I'm perfectly fine. Okay. Oh, there's a little pain and there's a little blood in it, but that's okay. So this is a reality. The Lord is showing us, yes, this is the world. Don't be in a fool's paradise. Don't build castles in the air. This is what it is. Now what? Take refuge in the Atman. Take refuge in the reality. This. And how does the Lord ask us to do it? So this is the last verse in this chapter. The chapter on sovereign knowledge and sovereign mystery. So he's saying, so here he's saying, having your mind fixed on me, being devoted to me, worship me, salute me, by thus accepting me as a supreme goal and concentrating your mind, you will attain me alone. Now again, I said, take this as the impersonal me, the Atman. So that's a reality. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhya jimam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktaivam atmanam matparayanaha. So we may be fixing our mind on something. And yeah, we can fix our mind on something that kind of we love or something, but that is not going to liberate us. So what do we do? And sometimes we are devoted to something, but our minds are not fixed on it. So this, the Lord says, having your mind fixed on me and being devoted to me. And after that, worship me. Salute me, bow down to me. And keeping that reality as the supreme goal, mat parayana. Concentrate your mind. So this is, so how do we concentrate our mind? Yeah, once you have merged your being into that pursuit, you put your entire efforts into understanding in order to realize the truth. You cannot have any halfway houses, or you cannot make halfway, you can say, efforts. Oh, I can do a little effort now, and then maybe after next year I'll do a little more. That idea has to seize you, and you have to think about it day and night. It's like a constant undercurrent. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of a person with a toothache, does all the work, but a part of the mind is on the toothache. So similarly, this thing has to seize you internally. Because once you begin the pursuit of truth, once you've settled on, this is what I want in life. This is what is going to make me infinite or immortal. Now I'll put all my efforts in it. So, yeah, but then what happens is you need to constantly inspire yourself. After a while, your efforts become torpid. Oh my God. That's the nature of the world. It dissipates you. You have one thought, and that thought which is kind of concrete, that is slowly dissipated. You have one aspiration, and then that aspiration becomes lukewarm. So to constantly have that kind of, as you say, steadfastness. That's why the Lord says, having your mind fixed on me. Your mind takes the form of the reality. It's like water. Water has no form, but it takes the form of whatever it is poured into, whichever container. Whether it's an ocean, whether it's a tank, or whether it's a pond, or whether it's a lake, whatever, the water takes it. So your mind, your aspirations, all your mental energies take the form of that. So that is fixing the mind, being devoted to me. And of course, when you keep on thinking of a particular thing over and over and again, what happens is there grows a form of familiarity. And I'm not talking about that familiarity breeds contempt, all that. A kind of a knowledge grows into that. The more you spend time on a particular thing, if I don't know calculus, I will spend time on that calculus, and slowly I'll crack that calculus. That which was, it's impossible. Now, given time and your attention, you can crack it. So similarly like that, you fixed your mind on the reality, and now there is a knowledge that slowly grows into it. And that makes you worship that reality as your highest ideal, your highest goal. I will not substitute this for anything else. As simple as that. And nothing can interfere in this pursuit. So I will, as I say, worship that. And what do I do then? Salute that. You don't have to keep on doing all those long salutations. There are some who will do the long salutation, but then the half-hearted salutation that time. Okay. So that salutation is a kind of a humility that has come before this thing. Because Sri Ramakrishna says, what's the sign of knowledge? Humility. What's the sign of ignorance? Egotism. The more you have that, the more egotistical you are, the more ignorant you are. You can see that. And the more humble you are, that is, you have become soft with knowledge. You can understand. You can see the greatness in many things, other things. And that is the first step into acquiring real knowledge. Otherwise, what you are centered only in your me, my, me and my. So this happens here. You keep on seeing that same Atman in everything and everybody. The adventitious causes, or you can say the limiting adjuncts of a person, may be, you can say, the source of your judgment. But if you look down deep inside, yes, that reality is also there. So I will look at that person as that spark of the divine, or the part of the divine, whatever and judge everybody according to that divinity. This will concentrate you, and concentrating your mind. As you concentrate the mind, what happens is you fixed your mind, you're devoted, the mind has become soft with devotion and knowledge, and you're fixed. You're concentrating your mind. Concentration is, as I say, that complete one-pointedness, the complete absorption. You call it samadhi, you call it whatever, but the idea is samadhi means extreme or ultra one-pointedness, where everything becomes oblivious to you, everything else, the world, the body and everything, and you're concentrated, constantly, you will attain me alone. So this is the final kind of key that you can come out of this huge, you can say, wheel within the wheel within the wheel. It's a very complex, you can say, existence. Relative existence is always, because its nature is relative, that's why it can never satisfy you. There are some people who will try to make hay as the sun shines. Yeah, kind of keep on making hay. Who's going to eat that hay? So yeah. The idea is, so once he's saying it is, Swami Vivekananda said, the way out of this world machine is through working out your own, you can say, methodology according to your own nature, and there's a way out of this world machine. So you pull your hand, the world machine will pull your hand. You ask for something, and there it grabs you. Never ask for anything. The moment you ask, you're a beggar, and that will come. And it will put all these various conditions, it will enslave you. We have been doing all this over and over and again. We are kind of enslaved because of we want this, that. Why should you want any other thing but then your own self, your own Atman, your own reality? This is the lesson we get. And now that you have attained this kind of world, get out of it. Anityam, asukham, lokam. That is ephemeral and joyless world. Imam, this world. Now that you have attained it, worship me. Worship. It takes, as you say, one of the Upanishads say, many do not even get to hear this. Many, even after hearing it, do not understand. Why? Well, all these obstructions are there that need to be broken. And as you keep on breaking them, and here nobody is going to help you start, where you start breaking down the obstacle. You've got to show your resilience, you've got to show your grit, you've got to show how sincere you are. And as you keep on doing it, Sri Ramakrishna says, you take one step towards God, God takes 10 steps towards you. That is, you will have that kind of help. Or it's called grace, it's called, you can call it anything. But a kind of a help comes to you and lifts you out of this. As in the previous verse, I shall lift them out of this ocean of samsara. Samudharta mrityu samsara sagarta. So, in this life, we think that we are alone. We may be in a crowd, but yet we have the feeling that, yeah, I'm alone. And this disease of loneliness is so rampant everywhere. Nobody wants me, nobody loves me. Yeah, they love you and they take you and then they exploit you and then they discard you and then take something else. That's what the world has been. So in this kind of world where you are kind of buffeted about by innumerable cares and worries, you ought to have some stability. And the stability is there within you. Whatever you may be doing, whatever you are, it does not matter at all. If you decide that you are going to now turn a new leaf, as they say, end all those kind of things, then as the previous verse says, that even those who have done the most heinous things, even if they begin worshipping the reality, God, they have to be considered as good, for they have rightly resolved. And soon, quickly this person becomes ensouled, you can say, righteousness. They say, every saint has a past, yeah, and every sinner has a future also. Nobody is completely hopeless, useless, worthless. Oh, no. And this needs to be kind of told to people. You're crushed and there's nothing there to look forward to. And it's not only in this country, but everywhere in the world, people are going in droves towards committing suicide. They're finished. They've come to the very edge of all kind of hope, and they've come to the edge of every kind of sensible, you can say, reason that will thwart them. No, saying, no, I've had enough. That pain, the suffering is intolerable. And they say the easiest way out is finish it off. But that itself is that misstep. If people would have known, there is a better exit, they would have taken it. And this is what is it. And this is how we need to approach the reality. It doesn't matter. It might take 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Are you willing to be steadfast? And if you are, you will be the luckiest person in the world. Lucky in the sense of, fortunate. You will attain to that stage where you will become blessed, immortal. You will be a blessing to humanity. We look around and say people are like curses to humanity. They're detrimental to society. And say there are very few people who are really great blessings to humanity, to society. How many can you count now? Society. Everybody wants their piece of flesh. Nobody wants to give. So you start being the giver. And these are the very small actions that kind of tell you, there is some sanity in this world, finally. Okay. And then you'll find that these people are actuated by some higher ideal, because their nature itself is making them givers, not the grabbers. And when you do it, they do it out of unselfishness. There's something that's actuating them. What is that something which is actuating them? That can be pursued and can be going slowly and slowly and slowly into that higher realm. So you always have people frightened about death and frightened about this and frightened about that, and then you'll find, death itself was, you've transcended death. You don't die. Ultimately, you don't die. Okay. So the very essence of this world is, you can say, misery and death. Death, that stands, the great reaper there, standing there. And then you have transcended that the great reaper with a hood around. In India, we have this god of death, and a nice guy, Yama. So there's an old story of Savitri and Satyavan. That girl, she takes him for a nice ride, in the sense of she makes him release the soul of her husband, Satyavan, by just being what she was and just by putting counter arguments. And this is what. So don't fear death, and don't fear misery, and don't fear, you can say, suffering and this and that. That can be transcended. Even this suffering and misery and all, everything is ephemeral, because it's part of the world. Yeah. So go in for the permanent. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Here ends the 9th chapter, entitled the profound knowledge and the profound mystery in the Upanishad of the Bhagavad Gita. The dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna ends this chapter. Scripture on yoga. Om, peace, peace, peace. We can